let's get back to you. A couple world titles. So now, what's next for Neil Pickup? Now, do you want to train again, get back in shape? Or?
I can honestly tell you, I am the most furious, frustrated fatty in the world. I pulled again here today, and my wrist and hand is strong, but unfortunately at this point in time, I have no side pressure. I cannot. The injury I had was very, very bad. I did just about everything you could do. I broke my elbow. I blew all 3 ligaments completely out of the bone. They actually tore the bone away, and I tore both bicep tendons. So it's pretty much wrecked. The doctor said at that time that was my career finished. I met a guy who had a different opinion. He said he'd do something pretty revolutionary on me and try and heal it up. And thank God he managed to do some kind of a job, because I'm here today pulling, and I'm forever thankful for that.
And it feels pretty good when you're pulling?
Yeah, it feels okay, but I've got positions where, and they're pretty bad positions for arm wrestling, pretty obvious. I'm not talking ugly shapes, or they're pretty normal, straight up and down positions where a guy can just apply pressure in that direction, and it feels kind of like somebody stuck a knife in your elbow. And your sort of automatic reaction is to get out of the way. And you do that, the power comes off, the guy beats you. Today, in my last match with the Ukraine there, the match stood still for probably 10, 15 seconds, and I felt great. I thought, this guy cannot pin me there, I'm good. And then he just bumped twice sideways hard, and it felt like somebody stuck a knife in my elbow. I had to get the hell out of Dodge. But that frustrates you. But hopefully, I can continue to train that slowly but surely and get back to some kind of level.
And back down to a more comfortable weight class?
Sure, yeah. I mean, if make no mistake about it, if I felt that I was competitive, you wouldn't have seen me in the 220 class. The only reason I'm in there is I'm accepting of the fact that if I was pulling in the 176s, I would have got my ass handed to me, you know. So at this point in time, I've not been focusing like I should. And respect to the guys here who are training that hard, they deserve to kick my ass, because at this point in time, I'm working hard to try to close the gap in certain areas, but that doesn't involve dieting just yet.
Wow. So it's okay. So what's next for you for arm wrestling now? Unfortunately, again, I don't want to keep hashing on it, but the NAL is on the shelf right now. So now, what are you doing for arm wrestling?
We've got a lot of. I've got a lot of things that are going on in the background. We have a contract with a couple of TV companies that is absolutely on the ragged edge now. It's right on the brink, and we're looking to close that very soon. Working very closely with the PAL as always. I'm very much committed to them in that respect. Would have been also to the NAL. I hope that the NAL kicks off again, and I'll try my best to assist them wherever I can. Or anybody else that's doing good things for the sport. I would like to try to be able to help people in elevating the level, elevating the presentation at any opportunity, and I'll continue to do that. The next stop for me is going to be the Mirov Cup. That's where I want to be next. It's coming up at the end of November, early December. And again, you're looking at a top draw tournament. That's going to be a hell of an event. The best guys in the world are over there. John makes the trip over, and a number of other top American athletes. I've heard various rumbles of other guys that are coming over. And you know the best in Europe are going to be there. Yes. So what I do want to do is continue testing myself, even if I'm not able to do anything with them at this point in time. I want to know where the bar is that I've got to jump over. So every time, I've always said I'll pull anybody, and I will, and I enjoy it. I don't mind getting beat.
Okay, so now I just want to throw a few names at you.
Yeah,
and
sure.
You tell me, Crazy George.
I will kill that old son of a bitch. No way can a man who's fatter than me beat me. I'm going to fly over there, I will whip his ass, and when I've done that, I'm going to pull that mustache off his face, I'm going to glue up my top lip and stick his tash on forever. In fact, I'd like to get a museum at one point in my life of old artifacts from arm wrestling, and that's probably going to be the oldest, and one of the things I'd like to get in my collection would be the tash, the porn tash of Crazy George. Stick it maybe in a little box, you know, and maybe get it out at weekends, put on some tight pants, go out and rock it.
So now when I go back home to Canada, I'm going to have to call George.
Get him on the phone and set up that match. Anybody under 200 pounds, he'll beat him. Yeah. No, joking aside, though, Crazy George is great. I absolutely love the dude. Some people don't like Crazy George's style. My hat is as far off as it can get. That fella is an ace. I don't know how he does what he does. I've seen George in matches in the Arnold Classic. He pulled my training partner and friend Andy Barker and beat Andy this year at the Arnold Classic. He stood up Alan Fisher in all kinds of shapes. You look at George, he's got a short arm, he's got a small hand. How the hell does that man do that? And I honestly would back Crazy George against just about anybody. The dude is iron. He really is iron. I rate him highly. And I hope he's well. I hope he stays injury-free and we see more of him, because he's... Arm wrestling's full of characters, but Crazy George definitely is one of them. I mean, my God, the guy's iron.
Okay, tell me Devon Lorette.
Devon is a remarkable prospect. I mean, if I got my pen and paper out and started drawing little bits of scripts on how I think an arm wrestler should be designed, there's different ways. If you wanted to put together a guy who hooks well, if you want to put a guy who tops well, you'd have a different design. Devon Lorette is just a little bit of a freak. He's a tall, rangy guy. He's got phenomenal arm strength. The guy can be rolled out. You'd expect, you look at him, you'd think, yeah, this guy's top roller through and through. He's like 6'5", tall, rangy guy. He's like Kevin Bongard in a bigger size. Fella can hook all day. Very, very strong. You break his wrist open, he's still strong. All positions. Very, very cerebral athlete. People don't realize Devon's putting a lot of time into the manner in which he's training to get the results. And ultimately, he is a force. And I think he's an untapped potential as well. I think Devon Lorette is truly getting better. And if you meet the guy, you'll not meet a nicer individual than Devon, but also he's got a real warrior spirit. You know, that guy, if you beat him, he's pissed. He doesn't want to deal with that, you know.
No, yeah.
It's not in his vocabulary. So anybody that faces Devon right now, I think, is in for a hell of a match. He's a guy to watch, without a doubt.
They're definitely in for a battle. Another name to bring, Engin Terzi.
Engin, the Enigma of Rage. Yeah. Engin is arguably the best lightweight arm wrestler of all time, but he's in and around his weight division. He's right up there with the greats. I think Engin is a fella that puts more pressure on himself to achieve than anybody would ever do. He wants to be the best, wants the recognition. His ability in the sport is absolutely phenomenal. If you look back at Engin's career, he's achieved things that he shouldn't have achieved. Very, very few people have dominated him, if at all. If you look back to the early 90s, when he was in the lighter weight divisions, he was right there, up in the medals at every tournament. He's still there here. He's in the final right-handed today. Yesterday we saw him in the left hand. He's in the final again, against some incredibly tough opposition. I watched him today against Jabba Getiashvili from Georgia, last year's world champion in Manchester. You go up there, you watch Engin set up, and I honestly thought, wow, this is going to be a test for the guy. He's really going to get worked out here. He went through him like a hot knife through butter. Just blew Getiashvili to the pad in a second. So you got it, and it wasn't a jump start. There was nothing there. The guy knew he'd been owned. So respect to Engin. I think now Engin is asking himself questions, and I think his confidence has been an issue. You saw him put on weight. The Europeans this year, the guy was walking around, he looked like a little hairy me. He was all fat and stuff. Wasn't a good look. Probably didn't get any sex that week. But now he's cut back down to 70 kilos. Okay. May even get sex. Don't know. I'm not going to ask him. But that's all right. And he's looking hot. He's looking red hot today. He's on fire. I think in the final, he's got a really tough match. He's facing a dominant Russian competitor, Hasimurat Zolev. And if I was a betting man, my money would be on Zolev. But respect to Engin. To get up to second place here is a great achievement, and he deserves the success he gets. He's the most obsessed arm wrestler I've ever met.
Travis Berzink.
Travis is ace. Travis is, in my opinion, the best left-handed super heavyweight arm wrestler that I've ever seen. Right now, I think his form is absolutely exceptional. But Travis, for me, is all about charisma. His charisma at the table is spot on. He's a very, very unusual character. Again, really cerebral athlete, very smart. Everybody's seen him. Everybody knows what the guy can do up there. They know he's not all talk. If you actually get one-to-one with Travis and speak to him, he's a great dude. I think he's a very, very funny man. He has me on the deck. I laugh my ass off whenever I'm around him. He's the kind of guy that you do like to have around tournaments, because even when the thing's finished, you go out and hang out with Travis for a while and have a beer. You'll laugh your ass off all night. He's a tremendously nice fella. He's got a lovely family also. His wife, Casey, is probably one of the hottest women in arm wrestling. She's great. You know, if she ever leaves Travis, you can definitely move in with me. That's cool. It's fine, no problem. Definitely a honey on toast. But Travis probably kill me now. But
if not, your own girlfriend might.
She'd be up there with a knife right now, sneaking down. If you see some little piece come down with a knife, bang straight through me, that's my missus. Yeah. No, joking aside, Travis is good for the sport of arm wrestling. I think that what he needs to do is, this time around, focus on the fact that he is going to be the star of the sport, and maybe allow some of the people around him to get a little more involved with the organisation side of things.
Okay.
That's very difficult because the guy's strong-minded and he's got good ideas and good concepts. He's working with a good team of people. I think Bill Collins is a good guy to be working with out there and what they're doing. And Sevan Matosian, again, superb, very, very talented individual. His presentation of the sport, editing, the shows he's put together are great. You watch those, you're going to sit there, have a drink, and chill out. He's a nice guy.
Well, and I've only met Sevan once or twice. This is a very talented filmmaker.
Isn't he just? I mean,
I'm just some schmuck with a camera who films some arm wrestling matches. This guy's a filmmaker.
If you go and watch, it was interesting at the Arnold Classic this year when they have the things on the big screens, and a number of my friends from combat sports, anybody with an interest in that kind of thing, can sit down, put on one of those DVDs, and within 5 minutes you look at it and they're like, whoa, they're getting into it. They're engrossed in the thing that's going on. That's what this is all about, and Sevan's managed to do that. I can't wait for the Pulling John film. That's going to be.
So, I know people have been asking questions on the Northeast message board. So, any indication as to when and how that's making out and when it's going to be released?
I really have no clue. I mean, I'm the wrong man to ask about that. I'm as excited as everybody else is to see that film. I think it's going to be a great thing. I think the project's been really exciting. I think the content must be. Can you imagine trying to edit that? The guy's been nicking stuff for about 4 years to try and put in it. So cut that all down and get it in is going to be a very, very difficult job. But I'm sure that it will be Sevan's normal standard of excellence in that respect. I think it'll be entertaining stuff.
Okay, so and we already touched on Ron Bath, but just give us another little. So,
I think Ron is. He's sort of like the gatekeeper of excellence. If you can hang with Ron Bath in arm wrestling, you're mega. Anybody that's beaten Ron Bath in arm wrestling, you're mega. Guys that you see them coming up through the sport and they're getting a reputation. Ivakin Taras, Michael Todd, all these guys, they're dominating athletes in their region, in their area. They go to a big national tournament, they go to an international tournament, a professional format tournament, and they pull that man, walk away with a result, they would be buzzing. They'd be walking away going, yes, I took something off Ron Bath. What more do you want in the sport? I mean, at the end of the day, the guy is 20 years of domination in his weight class. As I say, if it wasn't for John, I think he's arguably the best of all time. Long may it continue. And he's got a lot to offer for the sport also. If you look at Ron, when you start speaking to him about the sport and getting him involved with things, you look at what happened on the ESPN shows in the States, walking through Vegas hotels with Ron Bath, everybody's spotting him. Oh, it's Ron Bath from the ESPN show. He's really popular because of the way he conducts himself up there. He looks the part.
Yes,
he's a tremendously fit athlete in terms of his genetics, and he gets in some crazy wars, and people enjoy that. Some of his matches with Marcio Barboza, with Ivakin Taras in the Mirov Cup, the guys had just incredible battles and will hang on to the death. The thing he did with the NAL, that Mike Todd match, how somebody's arm didn't go that day, I'll never know. That was just a war of wars.
I know there's another one, Michael Todd.
Michael is a very, very hungry guy and a guy that's, I think, struggles with nerves in a big way.
Okay.
I think he underachieves in some respect because he questions himself. If you look, he's very hot and cold. You'll go to some events and he's just on fire. And when he gets what he wants, he's a very, very powerful man, very strong individual and very tough to beat. Other days, you'll see guys just blow him away, just blow through him. And often, it's because he's questioning himself. He knows his ability, he knows what he can do, but he's quite an emotional character, a fiery, intense character. And I think he also understands the fact that he's got a lot to offer the sport, and he's got a lot of things that sell him as an individual and sell arm wrestling. And I think that's really where he's failing a little bit. If he can just settle his nerves more generally when he goes into tournaments, I think you'll find that Michael will get better and better.
Okay, Neil Pickup.
I think I'd always like to be remembered as a guy that was in the sport of arm wrestling for a long period of time and retained a level of ability, a level of capability, and was able to do okay at it. Also, somebody who gave a little bit back to the sport. That's really what I'd like to remember as in this game. And hopefully I'd like to come back and win about another 20 world titles, just nail everybody's ass, including Crazy George. Get up there with Crazy George's tash stuck on and just bulldog. That's pretty much where it's at. Now, joking aside, I mean, I'll stay in this sport as long as I can, and hopefully I can get back to a competitive level and keep travelling around the world doing this stuff, because it's great. Being part of this is fantastic. I love it. I love the buzz the night before. I love speaking about matches the night after.
Yeah.
It's my life. It's what I do.
Well, I mean, it's just to be here in the atmosphere in this hall today, when there's pullers up on the stage, it's all great.
Yeah.
It's all great and I'm an arm wrestling fan, so I find it easy.
Some of the stuff that goes on after the tournament's amazing as well. If you kick around on these practice tables afterwards, I love that. I love watching these kids coming up. Sometimes you'll see a guy and they're all just, oh, what's your weight class? Come over, pull for a little bit. You get over there and pull some of these guys that are coming up 18, 19 years old. Whoa, phenomenal. What's going on now in Sweden where they're providing arm wrestling tables for schools? That kind of thing is on point. That's fantastic. And the results are here to be seen this week. Anybody who's been here will see that. You'll see that the ladies' Swedish team now, the junior girls, absolutely phenomenal. The ability, technical prowess in these guys. The Eastern Europeans have been doing that for a lot of years, and you've seen their young athletes, the Arsene Lillieds, Dima Kotchevs of this world, coming through 21, 22 years old, and they'll be hanging with John Brzenk. These guys are phenomenal in every aspect. Look at the Babayev brothers, for Christ's sake.
They're unbelievable.
I mean, has anybody slowed either of them down? Because I haven't seen it
yesterday, and I haven't seen anybody do it
no,
yet today.
Every
either.
match that I've seen either one of those brothers in, just an absolute joke. They're not using the body; they're just dynamic rotation. Boom, gone.
Yeah. They are unbelievable athletes, just incredible arm wrestlers. So the last guy, John Berzink.
John, for me, is arm wrestling in that respect. I mean, if you look at any sport, whether it be track and field, whether it be a huge game like American football, soccer, whatever it is, any individual would have to take the hat off to a guy that's been in the sport as long as John has, pulled the diversity of weight classes and individuals that John has, and is universally recognized as the dog's bollocks. The man is quite simply the wizard's tits. I have seen him pull matches right around the world with guys that are just freakishly strong, and John will find a way to win. The guy is like water over a stone. He's just ridiculous. Always will find a way around you. And his power in all areas is exceptional. He's strong on the top. His wrist and hand are ridiculous. He's strong in the hook. He's strong in a press. He's mentally strong. Every single area the dude has got nailed down.
There's just no weakness.
There isn't, and that's what separates him. Every single one of these athletes, you look around, and they've all got some chink in the armour. John has not really got a chink in it. If he has one now, I think it's speed.
Okay.
And that's just because of the fact that the guy's been pulling as long as he has, and he's got so much scar tissue in those elbows and stuff. But he's developed that much power and that much ability to sort of take the edge off guys when they're hitting him. A lot of the time, he doesn't need it now. No. He'll get you into a bad position off the go. A very, very intelligent individual, very smart man, very dignified guy, and to me, he's the ultimate arm wrestler and always will be. I don't think a man will ever come into this sport that achieves what John's achieved and achieves the level of respect that John has achieved throughout the world.
You know what? It's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be pretty tough for anyone to achieve that level again. The level that he's achieved and that Ron has achieved, and a few other big North American names that have been around for a while. Andrew Rhodes has been around.
Yeah, Cobra's an animal.
Another great arm wrestling
superb puller
out of North America. And I do remember I was talking to Neil last night, and I do have a question. Rick Pinkney, one of the master referees here today, wanted to know, coming from North America, we have a hell of a time. How do you pronounce these European names?
a lot of the time I rely on the fact that no other bugger in the entire auditorium has a frigging clue who the guy is. He's gone, just fire a name out there. It might be total rubbish. No, what I try to do, to be honest, is actually, just before we go out, I'll try and get the guy. A lot of the guys, I know who they are. I've seen them a number of times. So what I'll try to do is go over to the guy and say, okay, how do you pronounce your name? And I get them to say it slowly and then break it down into increments.
Okay.
Then just repeat it, and try and get it on point from that,
Well, because I wrote down where we were staying and the hall we're in and everything, and still had a hell of a time.
Oh,
I was practicing it today. And
some of them are really testing, and particularly the guys who are in countries where the pronunciation's really different, where they start using the tongue in different ways and, firing the name out. And that can be really, really testing. Some of the Georgians, Uzbeks, Kazakhstans, people like that, they're hard to nail down. But
because I've heard before too that North Americans have very lazy tongues, so that's why we have names like Smith.
Can't argue with that. That's a nice, easy one.
My name's Scott. Very easy to say. But so, who are the new up-and-comers that we should be looking out for in the next couple of years?
For me, the guy that I think is going to be an unbelievable force at any weight in this game, if his technique can match his genetic potential as a strength athlete, I think Ion Oncescu from Romania is a very, very, very hot prospect. That guy is a beast. Yesterday he was world champion. In fact, ironically, the man I'm speaking about has just made his way up to the table now, and I think, I haven't been following this because we've been talking, but I think we're into the latter stages of the 90 kilos, and we may see some demonstration of his power. He's pulling Edimir Farocco from Italy. He's a very, very powerful guy, an inside puller, but the speed of Ion Oncescu is absolutely phenomenal. He's a very strong man, burst onto the scene in 2003, the back end of it, the Namirov Cup, out in the middle of nowhere in Romania. This guy's a former top-class rock climber, and his ability in arm wrestling is excellent. Superbly strong in the wrist, got very good arm strength, tremendous explosivity, really cerebral approach to the sport. He's isolated in terms of he doesn't have people to train him technically, so that's an area that he can progress. But this guy's a beast, and he's walked through the competition yesterday, and I think, again, we'll see him in a final. Farocco's a great challenge, but I just can't see him winning this match. And I'd love to see him over in North America pulling some of the guys like, can you imagine him and Hutchins? And, oh, dear, oh, dear. Yeah. That would just go on and on.
Well, I won't even try the names, but so the Italian he started early.
Yes.
And
didn't move. Yeah. Farocco, that's got to worry, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Farocco got a jump start there, got warm for the jump start. He hit his hook, which is his sweet spot. And Oncescu just looked at Leonard Harkless, smiled, wasn't at all perturbed by that. And I do expect that he'll win this. You never know, though. He's a little ragged on his technique. The guy may open himself off his arm and lose the match through some technical mistake. But in terms of his all-round power and ability, he really is a mega athlete. If you got a camera covering this match and it goes on while we're talking over it, watch for this. There we go. The speed.
Wow.
He's very, very tight, and he rolls into the match extremely well. And that's what makes him such a key potential for the future in this sport. He's very, very tight to his back. If you got to experience the guy's wrist power, it's really freakish. Yeah. He's extremely strong in the wrist and hand.
So how old is he?
I think he's 28 years old.
Wow.
28, but his length of time in the sport is very limited. He's only been there for back end of 2003, and already he's recognised as. In fact, he just pulled John Brzenk only a couple of months ago. I think August this year, he pulled John at 95 kilos in the PAL in a super match over 6. And he flashed John the first pin. Then John settled and took him out 5-1. But having spoken to John after that, I asked John, how do you rate Oncescu? And he said, I think he's exceptional. I think the guy's really strong in all areas and potentially the best at that weight that I've felt out of Europe. So that's a pretty high praise indeed coming from that dude.
It is. I guess, yeah, if John thinks that you're exceptional, then
you can pull.
Yeah. I would say you got some business being on the table then.
And I think Larat as well is another guy that, you're talking about potential up-and-comers, guys that are developing into real forces. I think Devon Larat has got headroom, and I think that guy can grow into something really special.
He can. He's one of the best-kept secrets coming out of Canada, though.
He is, yeah.
He doesn't travel that much.
I mean, I was shocked yesterday when you were saying to me yesterday that Earl Wilson's been doing well with him. That's amazing to me, because when I saw Devon there and what he was able to do and felt how strong he was, watched him after the show with an array of different pullers, just dominating. And Eastern Europeans, he was just mopping people up. And, slow, controlled matches, wasn't having to rush anything, wasn't jerky. All his movements were smooth, precise, and he looked incredible. And I spoke to Ron after that match, and Ron said, whoever that guy pulls, they better hang on to their ass, because he's really, really strong right now. And speaking to Devon, he said he's changed his techniques, he's changed the way he's training and the way he's preparing for those matches. And it seemed like a guy that felt, oh yeah, I've just seen the light, and here we go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what, Neil? That's all I've got. So, I appreciate your stopping
by.
No
problem,
mate. Chat with us. It was good to get your insights on a few things.
Thank you very much indeed.
Good luck in the future.
And it's an honour to be asked to do this, and I hope that I've talked some sense out there. And good luck to everybody in the finals tonight, and good luck to everybody in your training.
Okay, for Neil Pickup, I'm Scott McGinnis, ArmsportVideos in focus, and we're at the 29th Worlds in Bulgaria. All right, we're out of here. Thanks.